So today we're going to go through my investment plan. What I'm buying, what I'm not buying, why I'm buying it, and when I will be accumulating. I'm going to talk as well about stock market stuff in here as well. If you don't know this, I've got a second channel. I'll go through that in a minute. And tools that I am building, as well as a tool that I'm building for this channel. So yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, I am still buying Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. This is a dollar cost average challenge. Long story short, this here is real monies from my salary going into a portfolio. I started this about a year ago now, or maybe a bit longer than that. Gradually add in a little bit every single Sunday. Sunday at 5 o'clock in the morning on strike, if you're wondering, at the minute, because there's no recurring fee kind of percentages, which is quite nice. This is a long-term thing, if you're wondering. I talk about it more on Patreon. I talk about it on the channel sometimes. I am down, obviously. It was up quite a bit at some points, but obviously it's down now. But the idea is to be self-sufficient. I want to showcase that you can do it from start with a small amount every single week. That's the plan, and this is where we're at. We've got 0.2 BTC, which is probably more than most people these days, which is quite good. So I haven't sold anything here, neither. I've just bought literally everything. And the plan is, as I say, and the simple plan for this little pot is to showcase it. I will be, hopefully, getting more aggressive as we get lower, and I will go through why I'm going to do that in a minute. And I'm also going to be, hopefully, taking some profit, and then from there on, no longer investing and just managing the pot as a self-sufficient thing. So basically, when it goes high, I will take profit. When it goes low, I will rebuy back more, and we will continue that flow. So yeah, if you want more information on this and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, you'll see that in Patreon. As you know, I don't do as many videos on YouTube these days because the market's a bit shit. I obviously have two kids. One's very young. I have to take more time away from doing content. I do have a second channel as well, which does do some content, but not as much. So yeah, it's one of those things. Self-sufficiency is key. In terms of Bitcoin, and I know there'll be people in the comment section going, oh, what about altcoins? I'll come on to that in a minute. I've talked about this before in terms of levels, and this has been on my chart for a very, very long. Let me remove some of these fibs because it's a bit distorting. In the grand scheme of things, these are my levels currently, but I'm skipping this one, just saying. I'm not bothered about it, don't care. I took a load of profit at the top, about 30% of my entire bag, and that is my full stack. My plan is to put stable currencies, what I'm holding and sitting on, lower, obviously. So when you think about taxation, I've been a holder for a while. I can't just sell everything. It's pointless. So I've sold a bit, keeping some, happy with what I've got anyways as a core holding. And more importantly, I am looking to accumulate more units going lower, right? In and around this region, around the 618, around 55, maybe a bit lower, I will be nibbling more aggressively and I will be putting some stable currencies in there, obviously. Likewise with the dollar cost average challenge, as I say, I will be putting monies in more aggressively. So at the minute, it's a certain price, then it will become higher, and then it'll even faster. You get the idea, right? So I'll get more greedy as it gets lower, and that's the plan. With a lot of this, it comes to the nuances for your cycle, business cycle. What's happening with liquidity? There's a lot of people in the comments, even on my previous videos, saying that, well, we're going to go from this point, we're going to go higher. There's a lot of people that believe we're going to go to a new all-time high from this point. I can't see it personally. So we'll see where things go from there. But I know for a fact you lot are all going to ask one question only. What about altcoins? I'm not buying altcoins. That's it. Done. I am perfectly positioned in my life and my wealth not to be speculative over altcoins anymore. And I will go through other things that I am investing in, as you'll know. However, thus been said, I think I've already made it. And I don't want that to become a brag. But ultimately, I've got to think of the long term. I've got to think of my age. I don't have to gamble and go on to altcoins anymore. I am looking to use Bitcoin as my growth engine. And I talked about this on my X account not too long ago. And then diversifying into the stock market via a stocks and shares ISA, which is completely tax-free. It will hopefully pay me back massively in dividends tax-free. That's kind of my plan longer term. So I know there'll be people in the comments asking me about altcoins. Do I think they're going to survive? I'll get ahead of it. Don't know. I've openly said this on Patreon a few times. I think the world of altcoins need to deliver differently. Their emissions are too high, their inflation's too high, they're getting diluted on to everyone's head. And it would be nice if these blockchains or blockchain technology or whatever is probably run in a different way for funding. Maybe the IPO market, for example, in terms of the stock market. So, for example, Solana becomes a traded fund, and that could be a way of making money for the company, so to speak. But that isn't in the true nature of what crypto is and was. However, when you look at ETFs and how ETFs run, that doesn't matter anymore, does it? Let's be honest. So instead of thinking about DAO, maybe thinking about an IPO, for example. That's me just spinning some bollocks, basically. But my point is, there has to be a better way for altcoins to make money instead of selling their supply. That's it. That's literally it. So I'm not that fussed. But hey, it is what it is. That being said, though, there's a link below to this blowfin. If you're into altcoins in a way and it becomes easy mode, and right now you may be arguing it's easy mode for shorts right now, and I get it, it is for a lot of things. It just looks like an absolute every launch looks like that, certain things just look like shit. It probably is easy mode for a lot of people on the short side. So will I trade it? Maybe. We'll see how much time I have. So if it goes berserk, it goes into a little alt season, I'll probably compete with it in the futures market, but probably not as an investor. Anyways, 20% back on fees if you're interested in a blowfin. Now on the screen is my stocks and shares ISA with Trading 212. Now, long story short, if you're interested, as you can imagine, this is a tax-free account in the UK. And I started doing this properly since basically June, give or take, because that's when I sold off. Like, I had miners at this point. I sold off. I took a load of money out of this and put it in my cash ISA for a while whilst being stabilized, and I had a plan, and then I started again. That's where we are right now. It's doing really well, actually, to be fair. So the thing with this is, my goal is to get £1 million by the time I'm 50. That's the plan, literally. And alongside that, I will have dividends that will pay me. Okay. I can invest in the crypto ETNs in here if I want to, but I'm not going to. But there's already 472 people that copy this pie, 16,500 views. That's ridiculous. But reality is, I'm adding money into dividend paying stocks, dividend paying funds. But in terms of the full data, this is a full overview of what I'm doing. Passive income, decent, £2,700 per year. That will be growing pretty aggressively as I put money in. I'm aiming to put £20,000 limit every single year into this. Yield on cost is 4.18 now, which is quite nice. So that is growing very, very efficiently. Obviously, as I said before, in terms of the goal, the value, I want to hit certain numbers. Obviously, inflation encountered here. Ignore the goal here on the side, but ultimately, depending on what the portfolio is in terms of reinvestments and dividends, it's going to grow pretty aggressively. And yeah, I'm going to use Bitcoin as a growth engine for this, and it kind of makes sense. But in terms of this, I know people are like, oh, it's only £72,000. That's a lot of people to some people, but that is a small percentage of my portfolio. And this is me starting to diversify. As you can imagine, you can only put 20 grand every single year into these, but it's all tax free. And if you're interested, your money, mate, you can find it. It's doing really well. I'm getting a lot of followers elsewhere, and it's pretty interesting. And I also have my own little website where I've got articles on here. I've got tools, investment calculators, mini courses, all kinds of little bits and pieces, as well as a new tool called Your Investment Mate, which basically is AI, which gives you a lot of information, a button click. Now, I know you probably are wondering, where does Bitcoin go? That's the thing. I am very much in that, that area of 4-year cycles. If we are looking at like the end of, or Q3, Q4, arguably, the end of this year, in and around these sort of regions, I get it. That'd be quite good to buy. And I've already said that. In terms of where do we go from here, realistically, we just don't know, do we? Now, obviously, yes, you could look at certain cycles and certain situations. And for me, in my opinion, yes, we could look at certain areas and think, I still think long-term Bitcoin will be worth more than what it is today. I do. I just think it will be. There's a scarcity model there. Obviously, time, trust, all that kind of stuff will come about it. We've seen what's happened with gold recently. There might be capital rotation longer term. There's other bits and pieces that we need to consider. Obviously, if we are looking at a weakening dollar and Bitcoin becoming an alternative. Again, that is my opinion, and that is my belief. Over the course of time, I will be reducing the amount of Bitcoin I have because I'm getting older. It's less speculative, and it will be, as I say, going into that ISA and eventually pensions and other bits and pieces. Building long-term wealth through passive income, which will be quite cool, hopefully. So yeah, in my opinion, would I be selling at 200k in the next cycle if I was rebuying back low down here? Yes. Some people may want higher than that. We'll see. It just depends on how low it goes. And again, it's the same with Ethereum. I got asked a great question on my Patreon yesterday for Ethereum. And the question was, well, if Ethereum goes down to like say $1,000 and it goes back up to its all-time highs, roughly like a 4 or 5x, yeah, great. But ultimately, it could go lower than those numbers, and it might do. And you know, how many people will want to buy this at the lows? Probably quite a lot. Will it then go back up to these levels and you get I wouldn't say an easy return, but a good return if the market picks up? The question is, does Ethereum have it in its locker? If you want to follow the journey, follow along on the channel and subscribe. If you are interested in more content from me and like literally analysis and Q&As, all kinds of good stuff, as well as other bits and pieces, and I am, as I say, developing a little bit of a tool to hopefully help people, which will be within Patreon. Jump in, and if you're not yet done so, there's a little video here that will help you massively in terms of my mindset around Bitcoin. It's something I did 2 weeks ago. It's a good video. I want Bitcoin to do that.